Do you wish somebody wrote down the recipe for your parenting challenges? Did you want tips and tricks to become a better mama for you and your babies? I know I do. If you're a mother who feels that you are doing the best you can with the hands you've been dealt, but you're still getting it done, then this podcast is for you. I'm so glad you tuned in to Nailed It Motherhood because we might have the recipe that nobody wrote down. What's up, everybody? You're listening to Nailed It Motherhood Podcast, and I'm your host with the most, Tamara, Eldridge. Ladies, mamas, papas, village, everybody who's listening, I'm excited about today's episode. But before we move forward with the introduction of our guest, I do want to remind you all that we are live on www.naileditmotherhood.com. I am hoping that some of you go ahead and click that subscribe button so that you can stay in the know and get updated on any new information and new episodes that are coming out. Nailed It Motherhood Podcast has a lot of fun things planned for this year, 2024, and I really want you all to be involved. So please type on up. Go ahead, walk your fingers over to the keyboard, www.naileditmotherhood.com, and subscribe. And I hope to see and talk to you all very, very soon. Now, we're going to move forward because today we're going to do something a little bit differently. Thus far, I've had some pretty amazing interviews with a lot of awesome moms about their personal journeys, just in life, about, young kids, adult kids, kids that are just making life harder than it needs to be. But I do want my listeners to be reminded that moms are not the only ones out here rocking their roles as parents. So today, we have a pretty awesome dad to share his own parenting journey with us. If you follow him on Instagram, you see all of the fun, exciting things that he does with his baby girl. And I love it. I'm always geeking for him because I'm just super happy that he has that relationship because he's a true girl dad. Now, how do I know this guy? Well, I met him while we were working in a 6 through K charter school a few years back. I was a substitute trying to get the kids to stop talking so much and do some goddamn work while he was showing off his sneaker game and keeping up the culture of the school, making his mark in the hallways as a dean. So I am happy to introduce you and have you here and hear your perspective. Listeners, welcome to the show, John Jervay.
Thank you. That was probably the greatest introduction I've ever had for myself ever. So I'm humble and I appreciate, you having me on.
Well, thank you. I felt like your sneaker game needed to be mentioned so that we knew who we were dealing with today. But I'm really excited just to hear your perspective because, you're my first male guest here. And I just really need people to know that, Black dads are not all just sitting on the couch and ignoring their kids. If anybody's not, it's going to be this guy right here. So I'm happy that you said yes, that you would jump on and be a guest on my show. I wasn't sure if you were really going to do it, but when you reached out at the new year and you said, send me that email and you scheduled, I was like, yes, thank you, Jervay. I appreciate you because I feel like it's important to represent every parent, not just moms. So thank you.
No problem.
Before we get to today we're calling it history journey. Before we move on and get to that, I want to do our usual episodic Tabby Tale. And when I'm done with my Tabby Tale, I might have a couple questions for you because you are a girl dad. And we actually grew our babies together. For lack of a better word, when we were walking down the hallways and seeing each other, I was, growing big, and I knew that your baby's mother was also ready to pop. And, your daughter is just a little bit older than mine. But we had that experience together. We were like, so what's going on? What cravings does she have? And da 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 da. So that was a fun common experience that we shared. So we might have the same. But anyway, listeners, I just want to share a little bit about my morning this morning because I'm getting kind of tired of having to wake up in the morning. I'm starting off in a good mindset, and then I wake baby girl up, and then she just puts all the drama out there for me. Today, we're getting ready. She's super quiet, won't open her eyes. And TMI, she was sitting on the toilet and just looking. And then out of nowhere, she's like, and does all this dramatic crying. And then she's like, I don't want to wear pants. I want to wear a dress. At this point, you done sat on the toilet for 15 minutes. It's time to go. I don't really care that you want to wear a dress. We need to get up. We need to brush those teeth. It's time to go. So it was a big ordeal. She didn't want to wear pants. She wanted to wear a dress. Eventually, I shut that down. I walked out of the bathroom. I came back up. Then, her pants were completely off. She's still sitting on the toilet. There's nothing more left for you to get out. So what are you still sitting on the toilet for? Why are your pants not on yet? I'm scared. I'm scared. What are you scared of? What are you scared of? I'm confused. Your pants are on the floor. You're still sitting on the toilet. Now you're scared. What is this? So she likes to go to the after school program, and I let her know, the more time you take to get ready in the morning, the more time I'm going to have to take away from you going to the after school program. I need to be at work, and you're sitting here still with no pants on, scared of who knows what. You won't brush your teeth. So then she starts brushing her teeth, still screaming and whining because she's scared, and she's picked up these new cries from her classmates. Now, I'm not going to say much more about that because I know a lot of parents from her school listen. So she's just, learning her crying style. We'll say that. And then she decides she wants to brush her teeth, but then she doesn't like the toothpaste. I don't like this bubblegum toothpaste. Girl, this is the same toothpaste you've been using since you started brushing your teeth. If you don't go ahead and brush, and I say, you know what? I can't. I'm leaving. So I walked out of the bathroom, and I'm in my emotions at this point. This is every morning. I mean, I feel like over the last 2 weeks, I've had one good day where she was smiling and excited, and we actually left the house early, didn't know what to do when we got to the school, and it wasn't time to open the doors. But most mornings, it is very stressful for me. So I have a drama queen as a child, and before you say it, yes, I know the apple doesn't fall far, Jervay. But as a girl dad, can you relate to me with the drama in the bathroom in the morning wake ups?
I can I can relate to almost everything you said outside of my daughter doesn't struggle to wake up. Now, I don't know if that's because it's of myself. Like, I'm a get her upper type person, and based off the dynamics, my daughter's used to waking up early and having to go do stuff. But yes, I'm well aware of how water can be scary at times. I am well aware of how a bath, a shower, even if I just give in and it's just a wash up, I'm well aware that no matter how lukewarm I have the water, it could still be too hot. I am well aware that the same thing you've had for breakfast, the same three things that you have for breakfast every day, I'm well aware that you no longer like that stuff. And yeah, so no, I'm well aware of the drama. The drama is it's here, and I welcome it though. I look at it a little different though. I do.
Well, tell me how you look at it, because I don't know that I welcome it. I mean, I know that it is what it is, and I'm going to keep getting it, and it's just going to get better. She's going to have an Oscar by the age of 6. So,
Well, no shade, right? No shade. But our children are 1000% a mash of the parents, right? And then literally this child comes into the world and they just see us do things. They see us
right,
react to things. They see us. And for us, we just, we look at it one way, but for them, that's literally all they see. So to them, it's what they see mixed with, and it took me a while to get to this point, but it's mixed with sometimes they just don't know how to express themselves.
right,
We cannot expect children under certain ages, like we just can't. And I think it's something that everyone has to, as a parent, you have to, I think part of it's just also realizing like, holy crap, like I'm really like this is like I'm responsible. There's no one for me to call, right? Like no matter what the dynamics, whether you're married, whether you're divorced, whether you're sick, like whatever, it's either you and someone else against the world with, for this one individual, right? And pray. And by the way, you're also not only is the child learning, right, who's never been here before, right? Like the kid's never been here before. They're learning everything on the fly. And oh, by the way, like you also don't know what you're doing either, right?
right, right.
So like it's two beings that have no idea what they're doing.
No idea.
And one knows how to express themselves.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, right? Like sometimes.
No, so 2 things to that. And first of all, we're only on the Tavi Tail portion and you're already giving out wisdom, but that's cool. Let me get your bio out first. The first thing is, even if you have other children, you still have never parented that child before, so you're still learning. And the second thing is, I've heard somebody say that as you're raising your kid, you're raising yourself. And like that resonated with me so much because there will never be anything like parenting, ever. You cannot experience any test that's going to prepare you for parenting. Any. Like, it's just not a thing. So as you are making strides every day and achieving little challenges with your child, you're like, oh, I stepped up in the level now. And then the next day you're like, oops, we fell back. Gotta start over. So yes, I do like that and I appreciate that. And I'm also very glad that I'm not the only one who has these fits every single day. Like I'll say 11 out of 14 days is a bad morning. I just want to start off good and keep it going. But the other side of that is my nights are also rough because she literally talks until she falls asleep. She'll have a whole conversation with herself until she falls asleep because I stopped talking after so much time. But all right, enough about me and my baby. We're going to move on. But before we do, let's find out who John Jervay is a little bit. And then I'm giving him the floor for his own personal parenting journey. And I'm going to shut my mic up and let him rock. So here we are. John Jervay has been in the field of communications for 19 years. Kudos to you, fellow communicator. He has worked at companies like ESPN, Complex, and currently is a producer and marketing editor for The Griot with Mark Lamont Hill. He also is a podcast producer and co-host of BOMM, BOMB, which stands for Black Opinions Matter, a bleepity bleep bleep bleep. So, listeners, I welcome to the mic a Mr. John Jervay. It's all yours.
Man, I appreciate it. And first off, just to take it back to what you said in the original introduction, anytime someone ever asks me to come on and talk about being a dad or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I love it. It's weird that it's the most passionate thing for me to talk about because I'm 43 years old. I never thought that in my wildest dreams that the thing that like I could like tear up every time I talk about is like my child, right? So my journey as being a father, basically it started out what most people probably would consider to be what we consider like the standard, way you become a father in the truest sense. But it started off a little bit earlier with my wife at the time. She had a child prior to us, being married. And so I came into the game dating her, and I got thrusted into learning how to deal with a child that was I want to say she was 6 at the time, right? Like she's 5 or 6 at the time. And, so that has its own dynamics because, this is about to be difficult, right? So that I went through a ton of bumps and bruises. And, you know, one thing that I always do is I always give her credit, my bonus daughter credit. Her mother and I are no longer together. We're divorced, but, I tell her all the time, I still treat her like my daughter and I love her, right? So I give her all the credit for making me realize that like, yo, like, I think I can do this, right? Like, it's not as crazy as you think it can be. So, but anyway, married, we have a child together. Pregnancy is rough. It is rough. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? Like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm messing up in every state, every way that you can possibly think. And I'm not recognizing, emotions are high. Like I don't know any of that stuff. So, it was a rough pregnancy just for a lot of reasons, and I'm not helping out, right? Like I stink, right? So, but eventually I get it. I learn, I talk to people. And during that process, I did a lot of talking to like homies that had had children within a year or two prior. And, even my dad. And the one thing that everyone told me is there's literally no handbook, right? You wake up every day and you just figure out how you can keep this being alive for one more day, right? Because at the end of the day, all you're trying to do is put your kid in the best position to become whatever they want to be, and so forth. So, I'm hearing all that stuff, and boom, my daughter's born. And first of all, they didn't know I was having a daughter, right? We waited. So I find out that it's a daughter, it's a girl, excuse me, when they take her out. And full honesty, I thought she was a boy at first because of, and the cord, right? Like I'm just gonna, it's safe. I'm sorry. And my first thought was like, oh man, I got a boy, right? And then they go, it's a girl. And I'm like, makes sense, right? Like it makes sense. I needed this, right? And, we go through the process, her mother and I, we end up getting divorced or whatever the case may be. So very early in my daughter's life, we got divorced probably around, was separated probably around month 8 or 9 of my daughter being alive, right? So I now, for the first time, like I don't know what I'm doing, right? Like, fortunately, I have parents who who are very, very, very huge in my daughter's life and help me out in a tremendous way. But the journey is, you go through all these things, and then it's every day it's just something new, right? Like one day my daughter starts laughing, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest sound ever. Like she's laughing, right? Like I'll be honest, I have no idea when my daughter said her first word. Like that doesn't resonate. I know that was probably a moment, but like I have no idea what my daughter's first word was. I have no idea when my daughter started talking, to be 100% honest with you. She just started talking, right? Like she just started talking, and then it was like conversation. And then it's like, she took her first step on Father's Day. My very first, not my very first, because she was born in May. And then she, Father's Day is that June, but like that first year of a Father's Day, she took a first step, right? And I'm like, yo, I'm losing my mind because I'm like, yo, this is my dog. Like, yo, this is the connection I'm looking for. She looks just like me. Like, this is crazy. And then, you build a connection with your child and they become your friend. And it's weird because you're a grown human being and your best friend in the entire world can barely say like 5 words, right? Like they might be able to say a sentence. And then you catch yourself because it's like, wait, is this right? Like, is this how it's supposed to be? Because like my best friend really is 2. And I have a lot of friends. Like, why is my best friend now 2? And then you realize it's something that just happens in you where you're just like, this is mine. Like, you really don't own anything in the truest sense, right? But like, your kid's yours. It's weird, right? So then, I know. So then, you start going into things like, her mother and I, we have a solid relationship. We don't really have, I guess, the typical stuff that you hear about on social media, or some maybe even experience it. We don't really have that type of relationship. It's cool. The only things that we tend to argue over is like childish stuff when it comes to like clothes, hair, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's stuff like that. Like, so, we decide we've been on the same page. We've had our daughter swimming since my daughter started swimming, I want to say at like age 1. And she's been swimming consistently since. And that's dope because I take her to swimming. So you go through the progress, and then like you see your kid like do stuff. And then like one day they can't do something, and then you take them to swimming class, and now all of a sudden she's swimming, not by herself, but she's kicking. And she couldn't kick 2 days ago, and now she can kick. And then then you start to ask yourself like, wow, like am I washed? Like, am I this washed individual that everyone talks about? Because the only things that excite me now is my kid, right? Like, I've done a lot of stuff. I've been a lot of places. I've seen a lot of things. I'm not trying to say it in a sense where, I'm saying that like there's nothing left for me to do. There's a ton. But like the only stuff that like excites me is the stuff that involves my child. And it's weird. I don't know if it's healthy. I'm sure that someone listening could probably give 25 reasons why my child shouldn't be my best friend and this and the third, but like she is. Like I don't, whatever works for everyone. There's no handbook, right? Like my job is to put my daughter in the best position to win, teach her everything I know, make sure that make sure she knows that, no shade against her mom, no shade against her sister, no shade against an uncle, an aunt, or anyone. She needs to know like this right here is solid, right? And I don't care what, just call me, right? Like when we get to that point. And, so it's just weird. Like you watch this human being, and then all of a sudden, she's sitting there with her legs crossed, and you're like, you're 3. What are you doing? And then she's telling me to put the window up because she doesn't want me to mess her hair up. and then it's just going to come off wrong, but like whatever. You look, and then my daughter has like blue eyes, and she's got dimples and blonde hair, and people are telling me, oh, she should do this and she should do that, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, this is, oh my gosh, like I might have a problem when I get older, like, and so then my mind frame goes, okay, well, I want to show her stuff, right? Like, I don't want her to be impressed by just anything, in any standpoint, right? Like, I don't. So, then your mind frame changes. You want to start, showing this and that, and I don't know. It's probably the craziest thing that I've ever done in my life, and I have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. Right, like, so I could pick her up from school tomorrow, and or I can pick her up tomorrow, and she could have an attitude. Okay, so I got to figure out this attitude problem, and so then I ask. But I don't ask everyone, because I don't ask for help. I mean, not help, but I don't ask everyone's opinion, because something, that you said earlier, is everyone's child is different. So what works for your kid is not going to work for my kid, because my kid's just different, right? And how I parent, it's not going to work for your kid, because with your kid, because, we're different. And, so I just, crazy to say, I go to social media, right? Like, I look at Instagram, and then all of a sudden there's dad tips, and there's hacks, and there's things, and then you try stuff out, right? Like, then, in the process of elimination, you find out that your kid loves music, right? And for some reason, you start putting two and two together, that every single time your daughter was spazzing out, this song was on and she calmed down. And then now it becomes like y'all thing, right? And now as a parent, then you got to go, wait, maybe my kid likes music. So then you just find different ways to connect with your kid. And next thing you know, you have a playlist that you listen to every time in the car. And then you have your part, she has her part, right? And now y'all are bonding, right? And then, next thing you know, she's grabbing a remote, because she's old enough now to grab the remote control from you and speak fluently into the remote control and say, YouTube Bluey, or YouTube this, or, and now you're like, wait, what is going on? Now you got to teach boundaries, right? Like, now, okay, this is the next phase. And I can't tell you that it happens at 3. It might happen at 4. It might happen at 5, right? People say 2s were terrible. 2s were sweet for me. I didn't have any issue with 2. 3 was a problem. Okay. 3 is the year. I need everyone out there listening to know that 3 is the year. It's not 2. It is 3. And 4 is nothing. 4 is just a tiny bit calmer, but they know how to talk better. So there's that, right? And they talk like you. So now you're talking to yourself. But I mean, at the end of the day, I love it. It's something that is the greatest thing that I've ever been a part of. I look forward to what tomorrow is going to bring. And I look forward to the challenge of just figuring out, how we can keep her happy and teach her stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared. Let me not turn the pages all close to the microphone. I can totally hear how much you love your baby. Like, it's adorable. I know you don't want to hear that, but on a motherhood podcast, we can say that. And you might get some likes for that.
I appreciate it.
John Jervay loves his baby, and you can hear it, y'all.
That's my dog.
But I like what to sum up everything you said. You basically just told us that parenting is one big experiment.
Exactly.
Like, that's what it is. Every day is different. You can try gentle parenting one day. And I've said it a couple of times on my podcast that it is not for everybody. And I do not believe that it is for my child. But, I still try to incorporate it because gentle parenting is not for big personalities. And that one right there, she got a lot of personality, but you can get down on one knee and, eye level and bring the voice down and calm yourself and firmly tell her what you want one day. And then the next day, she looks you dead in your eye like, that's not going to work. So now you had to say it 8 times. So the 8th time you're raising your voice. Like it is what it's going to be today because you want to disregard what I'm trying to talk to you about. So yes, every single day is different. I like that. I like what you're saying, but I like that you are willing to change with her. That's crucial. It's important to be able to go to sleep and get up the next day and try it again. Let's see what's going to happen today. Like, she going to have attitude when I pick her up, or are we going to rock out in the car? We shall see. So I have a couple questions.
Okay.
You started off as a bonus dad.
Yep.
Which is big for any man to see somebody with a child and say, I want to commit to you and your child, because it's a package deal for most women. I would say for 98% of women, it's a package deal. You pick me, you pick my child. And before I get into your aspect of that, I do have a question for you, but I want to shout out my boo, who has also done the same, who he met my daughter when she was 1, and like he stepped up like without hesitation.
Nice.
And I love and appreciate that. And kudos to you for doing it. Kudos to him for doing it. Kudos to any man that has no hesitation in stepping up and parenting somebody else's child, because it could be because there was slack somewhere else. It could just be because it didn't work out with the parents, but taking that on can be scary. So my question for you, what advice would you give a man who's seeking to be with someone who already has a child or children? What would you say to them so that they don't run away from that idea?
Wow, that's tough. Honestly, I just, to be honest, you got to be prepared for anything, right? Because at the end of the day, whether there is a relationship with their birth father or whether there isn't, it's going to be a struggle, because regardless of what it was, you're entering a space where they had their mom to themselves. And now you're entering a space and you're taking away from that time. And unfortunately, everyone's not always, men and women are not always good at equaling out the time, because we're human beings and it's easy for us to get caught up in it. I would say take the time out. Ask yourself, can you take the time out to get to know another individual, right? You have to learn what that individual is. And at the same time, remember that person is a child, right? So again, depending on the age, they might not know how to act. They may not know, it's a lot of stuff. And then, so I would just say, be willing to learn a child. And when you get that time, find ways to relate to the child. I know one thing that I did, and listen, it was rough at first. My bonus daughter, it was rough. It was rough at first. And then, after a while, you just realize like, hey, I'm not going nowhere. You're not going, like, Like, can we figure this out? So, you take them to like a game or something. And then next, they had a great time, and now y'all had a moment, and it's just about building moments and figuring out how you can be the yin to the yang or whatever it is for the with the mom, right? Like if the mom is kind of strict, I'm not saying be lax, but like, and maybe you don't need to be as crazy. Like maybe don't be on your P's and Q's with everything. Just be how you probably normally would be. You just got to find your own moments, but understand it is a roller coaster. and that child is going to be growing, and they're not going to be the same person that you met, the same way that your significant other is not going to be the same person that you met 4 or 5 years ago, right? So you got to be willing to grow with multiple people. It's tough though. I wouldn't say it's easy.
Right. I think what I kind of heard you say, and also what I'm kind of putting on you, is that there are times where you have to be a hero to the kid, but there's also a time where you have to be a partner to the parent so that you can kind of balance the relationship between the two.
I mean, yeah, and you gotta learn. You gotta be willing to you gotta be willing to like talk to the kid, right? Like you gotta treat the kid like they're supposed to be treated. You gotta
Right.
treat the kid like they mean something to you, because if you're gonna make this work with the other person, they have to mean something to you. This is
Absolutely.
assuming the person that you're seeing is a solid, decent human being who cares about their child, then the kid's not going anywhere. So the faster you can figure this out, the easier your life will be. And it's not saying that you're doing that because you gotta care. You gotta go to dinner. You gotta go, I don't know, you gotta go for the walk. You gotta go to 7-Eleven and get the Slurpee or take for ice cream. You gotta do something, right? Like, and know that no matter how good you do it, right? No matter how smooth you are, that kid can come home and not like you just because.
Right. That's real.
Right?
That's
They
real.
can miss their other parent. They could have a bad day and you're just the easiest person because technically you're not their parent. So it's easy for you to be the one. And
Right.
you have to understand that it just is what it is.
That's good. You said that you experienced being basically a single parent before your daughter was even 1 years old.
Yep.
And typically that's the time when, you need your partner the most.
Yeah.
Tell me how you did it. I know you mentioned your parents, but like what was going through your head? What gave you security in that part of your parenthood, parent journey? Tell me about it as a man.
I'd say a lot of like what the heck, right? Like well, how is this my life right now, right? Like what am I supposed to do? I don't know anything about being a little girl. I have no idea what it is to be a girl. None. I just know that I'm the protector of this child and I got to figure it out. Fortunately for me, um not fortunately, but the pandemic happens, everything shuts down. So I don't have to go anywhere, and I'm able to live in a situation where my parents are very, very close. So basically, I had support. And during the pandemic, everyone was basically just living, you shrinking everything. And the people that mean the most to you, you're living with, right? So like I'm with my parents 24/7 during the pandemic. My daughter's there. My mother and my father, tremendous help. Trying to figure out my life, wondering like, how do I even imagine trying to like date someone again, right? Because the only thing that's supposed to matter to me is this kid. And then it's like I'm having all types of thoughts. Like, what if I meet someone and they don't work well with my child? Like, stuff that I never thought I'd be thinking about. All that stuff's going through my head. And then you look down and there's like this face just smiling at you.
Right.
And it's just like, all right, I gotta figure it out, right? Like I gotta talk to people. I gotta get out my comfort zone. I can't be cool because being too cool is really, really going to impact someone's life, right? Like it's cool when you make mistakes and it's just your life. But now, like, there's literally like a legal document to protect like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just different. I don't know. Like, it's hard though. Like, it's hard. You got to watch YouTube videos on how to do hair, right? Like, you gotta, I mean, I don't know. Like, you gotta rely on people to send clothes and stuff, not because you can't afford it, but like, I'm a dad, so for me, it's t-shirts and tights and sneakers, and then you got to have the dress for when she says, I want to wear a pretty dress today.
Right.
So thank you to the support system that sends those things, because I don't know how to pick out that stuff.
Because you're not going into Macy's and looking in the clearance section.
No, I go to Target, and if they have something, and you learn. I can't bring her to Target, right? Like you mentioned this. Like, one thing I learned is that it's a learning process. So you go to Target with her one time, and then she tries to go down every aisle, right? She's asked for this, she asked for that, and then now you realize, hey, you know what? Target runs are for me now, right? Because I can't afford to take you everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's parents. That's being a parent. Like, that's what parenting is, right? It's doing something, it not working, but she's still alive, right? Like, I did my real goal was just to keep her alive from the sun up to sundown, right? I can mess up as long as I do everything by the book, and she's alive, she's fed, she's clean, she's not malnourished, she's not being abused, like everything. Like,
Right.
end of the day, right? And then you put them to bed, and then you assess your day, and you say, okay, nope, we can't do that again, because when we do that, the $5 Target run is now $60-$70, because as a dad, it's hard for me to tell my daughter, who looks, she's like the prettiest person I've ever seen in my life, right? Like, blinking her eyes and saying she wants something. And I've always been a sucker for, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've always been, and my daughter just figures me out at age 3, right? Like, I don't know.
No, you can't have it. I said this on the last episode, that Tavia will just say, for my birthday. I want it for my birthday. Girl, your birthday is 360 days from now. But okay, yeah, that's fine.
I got a list in my phone of everything.
Right.
It's, it's my birthday, right? Like, of Christmas and my birthday. That's all. That's always everything's for that.
Okay, I'm looking at the time. So I still have a couple more questions, but I think one of the most important questions that I want to ask you is, you talked about setting up boundaries when it comes to parenting. And the example that you used was the remote, because baby, that remote. And she likes to play on his PlayStation. So she knows how to use it, and she knows how to get to the games and all of that. And I'm just like, who taught you that? Like, why do you pick up things so easily? So setting boundaries is A, important. But B, are you and mom on the same page when it comes to setting up boundaries, or does it get sticky because mom allows it? And now, mind you, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, because
we're good.
But does it become sticky because mom has one set of rules, and then when you're here, you have another set of rules?
So in my particular situation, mom is the strict one, and I'm not the strict one, right? Like, but that is
bring her into the conversation and say, do you want to punch him in the throat? Because, like, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that is something that her and I do butt heads on, right? Is because when you're strict and someone's not strict, it's easy to think that they're just letting them run wild over there, but not realizing that there's like organized chaos, and that's what it most likely is. But boundaries are something that is very important to set up. It's hard, and I think especially when you're co-parenting, you are going off of the word of someone that for some reason y'all aren't together, right? For some reason y'all aren't together. So it's really hard to take that person at their word all the time, because, it just is what it is. So it's a conversation that's always happening. But boundaries are set, and you know, like you got to figure out how to talk to your child, right? Like I'm not a pow pow person. You know what I'm saying? That's not me. I think there's just deeper reasons for that. How you parent your child is how you parent your child. But it's just as a man, I don't want to put my hands on my daughter and then give her the impression that this is cool because her dad did it, right? So, but whatever. So like, you know, it's just boundaries, and then, you know, you got to figure out what works, right? Like you take away things and tell them what they can or can't do. And sometimes you got to let them fall also, because they got to know not to do that anymore, right? Like you can't
Right.
just save them from everything.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Speaking of not being able to save them from everything, you mentioned swimming lessons.
Yes.
And it just reminded me of the resilience of kids. Like kids their resilience is unfathomable. I'm gonna say it right. Unfathomable. I still
There
can't
you
say it,
go.
but y'all know what I'm trying to say. I said, nope, that wasn't it either. But it's ridiculous. We'll just say that.
Yes.
It definitely makes you just look at them in awe, because they'll learn something after getting hurt. They'll hop back up and do it again, and then do it beyond what you ever thought they could. Whereas we as parents sometimes are afraid of things. And so we put limitations on what they can do because of our fears of what might happen and what could happen. But even if they get hurt, sometimes they don't even know they're hurt until we react crazy. So I just think that was an amazing story to share, just that you're able to watch her grow in swimming, because I pictured, you know, the YouTube videos that they have where they kind of like just toss the baby in with clothes on and make them survive, because that's their nature to do that. But as they get older and they hear all these horror stories and we teach them fear, that's whenever it's harder to teach them. But at the age that they are now, they are really teaching us how to get up and keep it moving. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that story. Yeah, we had a lot of similarities in our parenting, including COVID. Like I was actually the opposite of you when it came to being stuck in the house with just me and Tav.
Okay.
But we had that shutdown where it was just like, it's me and you. We gonna figure each other out. It's I'm gonna learn you, and you're gonna learn and study everything that I do. And then when you get to see it in action, everything that they were observing during that time, it's amazing. It really is. I love my baby. She gets on my nerves, but I love her.
I
I
mean, think
love
about the amount of conversation your child just got at a young age that they would not have gotten if you would have just sent them to a daycare and they would have been in a
right.
room with all these children and just hearing goo goo gaga for all this time. Instead, they were hearing conversation, which is
Because
why
I
I
didn't
believe.
do that. I didn't coo and no, we talked. I talked.
No, and that was the one thing her mom wanted me to. She was like, "Whatever you do, please do not talk to her in the baby's voice." And I never do that. We do it now when we play, but it's different. Like we're acknowledging that we're in the midst of a game, or we're having a
Right.
fashion show, or whatever the heck it is.
That's cute. That's adorable. Well, I think your personal parenting journey shed a lot of light for a lot of people. So thank you for that. Now it's time for us to have a little bit of fun with you
Okay.
and play tea time. Yes, I sing too much, I know. So, tea time, it's a game of rapid fire. So I've come up
Okay.
with a bunch of questions, and for John, I did change. It's so weird calling you John. For Jervay, I changed them because we want the male perspective. So he's not going to be able to answer when did you want to become a mom, because he never wanted to be a mom. So
That's fact.
so we have some questions that are deep and some are just for fun. As usual, he will still get 3 minutes to answer as many questions as he can and give us a little bit of insight into who he is. So Jervay, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Now, don't be skipping out on questions. All right now?
Nah, Haven's
All right.
dad doesn't skip out on questions, okay?
Yes. Haven, hashtag Haven's dad. All right.
Yes.
Listeners, are you ready? Yeah. Let's go. First question. What's the best way to waste time?
With an iPad.
iPad. Let's pass. Okay. Do you enjoy speaking with strangers?
No,
You don't?
no, I do not.
What?
I am the parent that comes, picks my kid up, and does not talk to any other parent. Okay, I'm good. I have friends.
Well, thank you. Don't want any. It's just conversation. None of that either. What's the most unexpected compliment you've received?
Wow. I was riding my bike with my daughter, and it was like during the 2021. She was on the bike seat or whatever, and we were riding back, and this dude walked up next to us because we were like at the light, and he was like, "Yo, that's amazing, yo! I love seeing that." And he said, he was like, "You just made me realize I need to call, like, my kid."
Aw,
And he was like,
that's
"Yo, I love seeing that." Good, so that was the best
yeah,
like compliment. Yeah, seriously.
that's awesome. Okay, who was your favorite TV dad?
Bandit from Bluey, hands down the best TV dad out here, and I'm not even joking.
I wasn't expecting it, but that
I
show
won.
was actually hilarious.
I 1000% strive to be half the dad that Bandit is, and I'm like I'm all the way serious.
I love it. Have you broken any bones?
Oh my lord, yes.
Mhm.
Elbow, forearm, and toe, a couple toes, but that doesn't really count.
It hurt, didn't it?
No, there he is, walking with a limp.
What is something you can't give up?
My kid.
I knew you were going to say that. You're being family friendly, and that's cool.
No, I mean, it's the only thing I like. Everything else that I can live without that stuff. I can't.
Is the glass half full or half empty?
Half full.
Half full.
Yeah, half full.
We have 10 seconds. What's your biggest regret as a dad?
I don't have any regrets as a dad because I don't think there's any reason to regret anything. My child is alive. She's healthy. We have a great relationship, and we get to do it all over tomorrow.
Yes, I like it. That's such a good answer. Well, thank you for playing Tea Time. I appreciated your
No
answers.
problem.
You're so chill. Like you said, I'm chill. I'm mellow. I love it. It's the calmest. What am I trying to say? The calmest run through of tea time that I've had on the show. But honest answers, all good. I love it. Okay, so now is the time where I get to say thank you. Thank you for coming on and opening the doors for men to be proud of being dads, whether single, whether married, whether bonus, whatever. Thank you for stepping up. Like, for stepping up for your child, first and foremost, because a lot of people get in their feelings when relationships don't work out and they completely neglect the fact that there is somebody who shares your DNA out there who needs that man's love, and they get in their feelings and then they want to come when it's too late, and now you have to restore a relationship that was broken. So kudos to you for stepping up and being a man and being a father. because our Black babies especially need it. So thank you.
Oh, no,
Also,
no worries.
thank you just for being transparent. Like I said, I can hear the passion. It is fantastic to have a reconnect with you, but to reconnect with you after now being able to watch you parent your baby. And yes, she is beautiful. I love looking at pictures of her. She's so cute. She does remind me of mine in a lot of ways, but there are so many ways that she's different. And I just get to see you boast on your baby, and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing who you are to the show. At this time, I know that there's probably some words of wisdom that you would like to give to other parents out there that may be like you, that maybe want to be like you, but this is your opportunity. I want to give you back the mic and allow you to share your words of wisdom for people.
It's funny. I had no idea what I was going to say until what you had just said a couple seconds ago. And the one thing I want to say is that it's never too late, right? For whatever reason that your people's situations are the situations, it's never too late to get into your child's life. The longer you wait, the more difficult it becomes. But being in your child's life, being a positive figure, and knowing that the love that you receive from your kid is literally it's something that it's really an unconditional love. And if there's an opportunity for anyone out there that has a child that has that love that they can possibly go get and feel from a selfish standpoint, that's probably the most selfish aspect to me is of being a parent, is just always wanting that love and everything. So it's never too late. It's hard, but I promise you it's worth it. Just remember each day is going to be different. There's no handbook. And there are people, whoever's listening, you're probably way smarter than half of the people out here that are actually achieving at this thing. So if we can do it, you can do it too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there you have it, folks. I do have a couple more questions before you go. Is parenting challenging?
Oh my God, yes. Yes. It is,
But like,
and you can't win, right? Like it's just the
right. Oh
challenge.
my gosh.
You can't win.
That'll be another episode, so we're not gonna. But is she still standing though?
Yes.
Awesome. So, Jervay, what do you proudly want to shout to listeners today on the mountainside? It's like, I'm just playing.
Oh, this dad is definitely nailing it.
Definitely nailing it.
If you love dad content, if you love just seeing like stupid dad stuff happen, along with some podcast stuff, I'm not gonna lie, that's there. You can follow me on all my platforms. It's real simple. It's my first name, John, John, last name, Jervay, Jerv as in Victor, AY, on all platforms. And it's an awesome follow if you like looking at a dad doing stuff with his kid, right? Like if you like that stuff, it's a great follow. If you don't, it's probably not the page for you, but give it a follow anyway.
Thank you. Well, listeners, he already told you where to find him, so make sure you check out his social media. Don't follow his Facebook unless you want to get punked.
Yes.
But because he's been hacked. So check out his Instagram, his Twitter at John Jervay, and also check out his podcast if you're into that kind of stuff at Bomb Network on Instagram. If you like this episode and you want to hear more personal parenting stories, subscribe to my social media, Nailed It Motherhood Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit our website, www.naileditmotherhood.com. And I also should add that if you want to donate to us, I do have Buy Me a Coffee, or you can click the Buzzsprout link and donate right there. You can choose to do it monthly. You could do it one time. You could do it as much as you want, as little or as much as you would like to donate. You can also be a guest on the podcast by completing a guest application. The link will be in the bio. We welcome your questions, comments, and ideas, and we certainly hope to keep this conversation going. Until next time, keep on doing what it is that you do. Bye.
Later.